Hi, I'm Mallrat. I'm here with Glenn from the Dare Me podcast, and we're hanging out. It's great.
I love it. Mallrat, you rock. All right. On average, just in the United States, about 220 people die every single day from an opiate overdose. By the time we finish this show, 8 to 10 people are going to die from an opiate overdose. If we get even one person, one viewer with this program that we might be able to help with some of the information that's shared on here, then it's all worth it. Hey everyone, it's Glenn Victor. Welcome, peace to the Dare Me podcast, episode 27, coming to you live right now from Sacramento, California, here in the Dare Me podcast studios. And we're going to bring in our co-host and producer right out of the gate today, live from Orlando, Florida. Here he is, Dean Baker at the Post Effects Digital Studios. What's happening, Dean?
Well, you came to me so fast here. I was about to check the stream and all that, make sure everything's kind of good, but okay, we'll check it in a moment.
There you go. Well, hey, we are live, everyone, on what, 4 different Facebook pages, 4 different YouTube channels. We're live on LinkedIn. We're live on the Twitter, which is now X. We're live on the new Threads. We're on all the things. So going to be a fun show today, y'all. We've been promoting that we'd love to take callers today. This show could perhaps be all about you, and we'd love to hear from you. And quite frankly, I could use some words of encouragement this week, y'all. And I'll elaborate on that in just a moment. And we've also got some fun stuff we're going to delve into. I went to see that girl Mallrat this week at a concert hall over in San Francisco. And that's why we played that a little shout out from Mallrat at the beginning of the show. Thanks for getting that in there, Dean. I was so fortunate and blessed to be able to meet her. Oh my gosh, what a cool person and so nice to me. So we're going to do a little deep dive into Mallrat, the concert I went to over in San Francisco this past week, and talk about some other music stuff too. But right out of the gate, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about this show. In case you wandered into this podcast for the very first time, my name is Glenn, and I'm an addict. Yeah, that's right. Thanks for putting them hashtags up top there, Dean, because that's what this show is all about: drugs, addiction, recovery, enlightenment, music, and exercise. And those hashtags all are acronyms for that name, Dare Me. Which is the name of our podcast. Long story short, y'all, as I mentioned, this is episode 27. I tell my whole story in a lot of the previous episodes we've done on the show. Today, I'm going to give you the real short Reader's Digest version. I broke my ankle about 12 years ago, and I was prescribed opiate pain medication, opioid pain medication, whatever the hell you want to call it. I got hooked. And I went on a 9-year run with that shit. Kicking that stuff was the worst thing I've ever been through in my life. Thank God I've been clean, living drug free for over 2.5 years now, and started this podcast last March. And we go live every Sunday, and then we post the recorded version on all the different platforms I mentioned. And I tell my story each week, and we talk about all those topics at the top of the screen. Uh, this week, though, I'd like to hear from some of y'all. As I mentioned, y'all, I am living clean and sober now for over 2.5 years. And, I promote the shit out of this podcast on social media. You got to do it now, or what's the point? That's how everybody promotes all this stuff on social media. And as we all know, we put these faces on, these masks, if you will, out on social media. The whole me, look at me, ooh, look at me thing, like we're all living this great life. And, for the most part, I try to, live my best life and keep a positive attitude. I'll also say that I have my shit days just like anybody. And I don't know what it is lately, y'all, but I have definitely been going through it, like shifting, man. And I was talking to a buddy of mine who's been a guest on this show several times at Boy Shebang. Just yesterday, and we talk usually at least a few times a week. And I was confiding in him that, believe it or not, I was thinking about fucking getting loaded, and it's like, what the fuck, whew, man, I'm getting emotional talking about it because it sucks, man. That shit brought me to my fucking knees, the whole addiction, or to flower it up and sugarcoat it, the whole substance abuse disorder, which is the buzz phrase now, and it's like I've got a long history with addiction. It wasn't just that run I mentioned on the opioid pain medication. It goes back to when I was a younger guy. Started getting high when I was a teenager, like most kids I knew in my circle at that age. Got clean at 25, just shy of 25, stayed clean for a long time, years, and had a relapse, got clean again, relapsed again, So I'm no stranger to this whole journey of, trying to live clean and sober. And I don't know, man. It's just so weird that, after everything I've been through, somehow my thinking will try to rationalize that going out and getting loaded might be a good idea. I have no desire to take any of them fucking pills ever again, man. Have no desire to use any opioid pain medication. I don't have a desire to smoke weed, With all respect to all my pot smoking friends, hey, do you, man, do you? It's so common right now because it's recreational in most places. Um, and that whole thing, it's just, for me, it makes my thinking fuzzy. I feel tired and shit, so I don't smoke that shit. Like I said, I've been living completely clean for over 2.5 years. You know what I romance, though, is fucking drinking. I don't know fucking why, but lately, man, I just been going through this thing of wanting to fucking go to the bar and belly up to the bar, have a few beers, some shots of JMO, which was my drink of choice last time around. And the only fucking reason I ever started drinking again was because I thought it would help take the edge off of kicking the opiates, that I was trying to, and that fucking backfired on me. And then I had two fucking habits, not to mention all the other bullshit I was doing, the Zans and the fucking Addies and every other goddamn thing. And so, anyway, man, yeah, I don't know what's going on, It's like I'm not gonna get high today. I ain't fucking getting high today. But it fucks with my peace when I start thinking like that. It's like, what rational person would romance getting loaded and start thinking maybe that's a good idea? I'll just go take the edge off, Like, I've played that game with myself over and over in my life. And you know what? I really truly believe if I went out and had a few beers, maybe a few shots tonight, it wouldn't be balls to the wall immediately right out of the gate. I mean, I'd probably figure, fuck, I relapsed, might as well go ahead and get good and fucked up tonight. And then maybe I might not party for a few days or a week. And then I'd just in my mind be like, well, fuck it, I relapsed, might as well go ahead and do it again, and have a few more. And within a month, I'd be back to getting fucking loaded every day if it took that long. And then eventually, I'm sure if I was, in that state, I'd be thinking, well, fuck it. If I'm drinking, I might as well go ahead and smoke some fucking dope too. Fuck now. If I'm, drinking and smoking weed, obviously you don't make good choices doing that shit. And if some of that other shit came my way, the fucking opes, the coke, the whatever the fuck, I might end up picking that up and using too. And of course, everything's laced with fentanyl now and every other goddamn thing, and fucking end up dying, And it's like, I don't know, man. I've been going through this thing lately. Like, God damn, why can't I just go out and have a few like some other people, It's like I'm not that kind of person, at least not anymore. I think for most people that are like me in recovery, you cross that line and there's no in between anymore. It's like, either you fucked up all the time or loaded every day, maybe not fucked up, but you get loaded every day, or you don't do it at all. There's no in between for people like me anymore once you cross that line. And I crossed that line a long time ago. And I know that, I'm a pretty smart guy. I'm an educated man. When I got my head on straight, I'm a pretty sharp guy. And it just fucks with me that sometimes my thinking will romance going out and fucking getting loaded again. It's just fucking weird, man. This whole living clean thing, man, it ain't all it's fucking cracked up to be. For some of y'all who don't understand it, who may be watching or paying attention, don't think it's no fucking walk in the park. Like I said when I started this little rant, it's like just because I'm out there posting all this shit on social media, oh, me, look at me, life's great. Oh, look at all the things I'm doing. Blah, blah, blah. Don't fucking be mistaken to think that, I don't have my challenges like anybody else, and so I'm just working my way through it. And, I'm trying to, confide in people close to me. Like I mentioned, that boy Shebang, my sponsor, Shay, other people I confide in and talk with, going to meetings, going to the gym, working that shit out that way. I think I need to get back to yoga more often. I haven't been in a few weeks. And man, I even cut it down to just once a week because I've been so busy. Maybe I need to start going some more, and I don't know, just try to get in touch with my peace a little more. But I was even telling that boy Shebang, it's like, man, sometimes, man, that old ghetto mindset kicks in with me. And I start thinking, God damn, man, I put all this shit out there, me going to yoga and all the things, it's like, I don't want people to start thinking I'm soft, and it's like I'm just trying to be, peaceful and peace and love. But then that old ghetto mindset kicks in sometimes. Fuck all that, you know what I mean? And it's like, what the hell? It's almost like I, I have two personalities, the kinder, softer, gentler Glenn, and the old fucking, badass Glenn, at least in my mind, So anyway, y'all, I went on a little rant there. I just thought I'd kind of lay the groundwork for why I'm in the mindset I'm in this week and why I was really hoping we might get some callers this week. I could use some words of encouragement, y'all. To keep on going with this journey I'm on, even like with this podcast, man. And sometimes I question, like, oh my God, what the fuck am I doing? What have I got myself into? But yet I hear from people all over the country, even out of the country, thanking us for what we're doing. And, it's so bizarre, man. It's like weird, Dean, I get more positive feedback from complete strangers than I own my own family, as they say. It's like
Well,
weird.
speaking of family, we have a
Okay.
caller.
Okay. Well, let's take our first caller. Who's on the line?
Hello. Oh, wait a second. Hang
Hello.
on. Stay with us. Are you there, caller?
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
I'm
There
here.
you go. I'm trying to bring you
Oh,
in. Yeah. Go ahead and talk.
Who do we have on the
Glenn
line?
here. It's your favorite sister.
Oh, it's Carol. Thank you so much for calling in, Carol. Peace. How's things back?
Hi, honey.
How's things back in Detroit City?
Oh, they're going good. I was just listening to you, and I made you a couple comments I put up on your page.
Oh, in the
Things
chat
that
room.
might, yep, in the chat room that are good things to think about.
Oh, I see, Carol. You wrote, "Move a muscle, change a thought. Addiction is a thinking disease." Well, God, thank you so much for those two things because, I have heard them before, but it's been a while and it's great to be reminded of those things. And I got to tell you, Carol, I can't thank you enough for, listening in and watching our podcast. I know this is kind of late for you. I know you're an early riser and you've told me from time to time you don't stay up for the whole show, but I just can't tell you how much I appreciate your love and support. So thank you for that.
Well, yes, and you always have to remember one thing somebody once told me: acceptance is the answer to all your problems.
Wow, isn't that the truth? Yep. That's a big one, acceptance, because you know what? Things don't always go the way we want them to in life, and not to sound cliche, but I love that old Rolling Stones song. You can't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. Isn't that the truth, Carol?
Yep, yep. And you
Yes.
just need to keep your head up high. And like I said, Move a muscle, change a thought.
Well, that
You've
means the
come a
world to
long
me.
way. And what you're doing with your podcast, you and Dean, is awesome. Awesome.
Well,
And I'm real proud of you.
thank you. Oh my God, you're gonna make me get all filled up. I appreciate that more than you know, Carol. I really, really do, and I miss you to death. I'm so glad I got to see you a couple of weeks ago when I was up there visiting and all. And hey, you sent me something today that Delta has nonstop flights out here to Sac now. So I know you want to go
Yes.
see. Yeah, I know you want to go see Alcatraz. So you need to come visit. Okay.
I know I really do.
Well,
I really do.
I would love to have you. Well, Carol, I know we've got some other callers on the line. And Dean, thank you for putting that phone number back up on the screen again. There's a number to call, y'all. If you're watching us live, you can call in right now. And Carol, thank you so much. And I really appreciate you calling in today. We will talk again soon, sweetheart. I love you. Peace.
Love you, brother.
All right. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. How about
Well,
that,
there
Ding?
you go.
Carol called in. That's
Oh,
great.
we got
So,
some comments on there. You might want to reflect on the
oh, okay. Let's
comments.
look in there. Kelly,
Uh-oh. I'm
proud of
bringing
you,
somebody
honey.
else in.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. Appreciate that. All right.
Hello, you're on the air.
Kelly, I'm bringing somebody else in. Oh, thank you, Kelly. Appreciate that.
Hello?
You have to turn your computer down, the
Yeah, we're getting
audio
feedback.
on the computer down.
Hello?
Hello.
This is your true favorite sister.
I can't recognize the voice. Who is this?
Are you kidding me? You
Oh, it's
can't
T.
recognize
Oh,
my
okay. I couldn't tell.
man
I
voice?
thought it might have been Sandy, but I have four sisters, y'all.
Oh.
Yeah, I have four. Yeah, I was raised
Oh,
by strong, independent women, y'all. I'll tell you that. So, hey, T, thank you so much for calling in today. How are you?
well, it sounds like you need a few words of encouragement.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all I'm going to say is the rehab center's closed, buddy. So you better get your shit together and stay on the straight and narrow.
Well, I appreciate that. I've often said, man, my sister T Dean, she is one tough love chick. That is for sure. And Dean, you've heard me and to our other viewers and listeners, I see we've got a whole boatload there up in the corner there. Appreciate oh, look at Dean brought up drug relapse symptoms. Yeah, I ain't getting high today, y'all. But anyway, I was going to say, T, I've talked on this show many times about how most people leave Detroit to get clean, and I went back to Detroit to get clean, and instead of going into a rehab center because I just didn't want to do that again, I ended up staying in my sister's basement when I was kicking them opiates. And that was my sister T's house, who is on the line right now. So, T, I can't thank you enough for everything you did to help me. And I really appreciate the words of encouragement and you calling in today. Thank you so much.
Okay, brother. We'll talk soon. Just call if you need to.
Oh, I appreciate that. And thank you again for calling in, T. We'll talk soon and give Carol a call so you guys can plan a trip. We'll go to Alcatraz to remind me I don't want to get back involved in dope or I might end up in one of those cells out there, right?
Okay.
Okay, thanks. All right. Well, how about that? Right out of the gate, Dean, we got a couple of callers. And I
There you
swear to
go.
God, what's that?
There you go. That's what you want to hear.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Those were non-solicited calls, y'all. So those are two of our regular viewers and listeners, and of course, family members always, hit you hard. Man, I'll tell you, when I do have those thoughts of romance and going to get loaded, I do
Yeah.
think about those days and long ass nights in my sister's basement when I was kicking because oh my god, man, there again, I'm trying not to get filled up. It was no fun, y'all. Those long nights of insomnia and kicking and cold sweats and all that other shit. Never want to go through that again. So I'll say this: if you're a person again who stumbled across this podcast, maybe you're tuned in for the first time, you're trying to kick dope. I get it, been there, and hopefully we can provide some words of encouragement and some practical ideas on this show to help you get through that and get on with your life. Again, I highly encourage you to, if you are trying to kick, go back, review some of our previous episodes, and we appreciate that. So, anyway, I do have a pretty cool show lined up here today, y'all. And we're definitely wanting to take some more callers. If anybody else wants to call in, Dean, if you want to keep that phone number up on the screen for people. And again, shout out to my niece Kelly. Thank you so much for the words of encouragement. I really appreciate that, sweetheart. So we're going to go right into some opioid news in the news, y'all. We try to touch on this each week in the news. So let's go ahead and bring those photos up, Dean, and these slides, and we'll just go ahead and go through them. Again, we work on a sounder like when we start the news, So anyway, just a couple quick stories, y'all. I monitor the news each week to see what's going on in the news with the opioid crisis. And right now, this is a story I pulled from the BBC, and there's another one I got from the Desert News. Same thing. Is that a sounder you had there?
I was looking for some news music, and there you have it. It just wasn't right. 2 seconds in, there you go. So
hey, anything can happen live. I love it. Well, what they're calling this fentanyl crisis now is the fourth wave of this whole thing that has hit the U.S. And, it's even getting headlines in the BBC News, y'all. And then here's this story I pulled from the Desert News. And what they're saying is this fourth wave is that meth and cocaine are now among a growing number of other substances that are being laced with synthetic opioids. And so the fentanyl is not the problem in and of by itself anymore. It's becoming a problem where it's combined with these other things. Like, Dean, you remember we talked about xylazine, and now they're putting it in the meth and the cocaine. And so, it's come in waves, going all the way back to like the pill mills. Then they cracked down on the pill mills, so everybody started turning to heroin because they didn't want to get dope sick. And so, then the fentanyl hit the scene, and now the fentanyl is being, combined with all these other drugs. And, just going back to this other slide for a second, if you look on the bottom left there, just above the phone number, it says more Americans than ever are dying from fentanyl overdoses in this fourth wave. So the reason I wanted to point that out, y'all, is because if you think this opioid crisis is getting better, you are badly mistaken. It's not getting better. It's not even staying the same. It's getting worse. Like it says here, more Americans than ever are dying from fentanyl overdoses. And we're now into what they're calling the fourth wave of this, where it's being combined with all these other drugs too. And people are taking this shit and they don't know. They're not taking it intentionally. They think they're just taking some other drug, and turns out it's laced with fentanyl and they're dying. So it's just fucking crazy, man. Anyway, here's a sad ass story, but I couldn't help put it on the show today, y'all, because this just hit the news a couple of days ago. This was in the New York Times and it was all over the news. A 1-year-old kid dead at a daycare in the Bronx in New York. And then 3 other kids were hospitalized because these people at this daycare were apparently, allegedly, but say that word loosely, mixing up drugs and dealing drugs out of this fucking daycare. And the kids got into some of this shit. One of them died from an opiate overdose, and 3 are hospitalized. Now, they do have one guy in custody over this whole thing.
At least one?
Yeah, isn't this crazy, Dean? I mean, this just goes to show y'all. It's like I am not going to let this topic go, man. It's like more Americans dying than ever before this thing. You got 1 year old kids in daycare dying. It's just so fucking sad. So, anyways, y'all, that's the two headlines in the news we wanted to bring up today. But I'm going to switch to a little bit of a brighter note, okay? I want to send a shout out. And then we're going to talk about this Mallrat concert, but I want to send a shout out to an old friend of mine. Deed, let me ask you a question, bro. Do you believe in love at first sight? What do you think? Has that ever happened to you?
That's a contradiction in terms. Love at first sight means yes. You know what? Chocolate. There you go. Love at first
Well,
sight. I
okay.
see chocolate and I fall in love.
All right. Well, I'm talking about between two people.
Really nice sports car, a motorcycle. Now that's my latest love at first sight.
Yeah.
I'm experiencing that with my motorcycle right now.
Well,
Love at
I'll
first
tell you.
sight.
I have found love a few times in my life. I've been very fortunate. I was even married twice. I'm not married any longer, but thank God I'm friends with both of my ex-wives. I had somebody say something to me that kind of rubbed me the wrong way once. I had a little resentment about it for a little while. I've had to let that go, where someone was, in my opinion, trying to justify their own actions and made a statement to me of, well, you did have two failed marriages. And I didn't say anything at the time, but I'm thinking to myself, like, what the fuck? What kind of thing is that to say to somebody? And I didn't say anything at the time out of respect for someone else's relationship with that person. Uh, but I don't think of those marriages as failed marriages. They were what they were at the time. Not all marriages last forever. In fact, over half the marriages in podcast doctor says big booties
Yeah.
for me, love at first sight. Well, shout out podcast doctor, what's up, bro? Yeah, not all marriages last forever. More than half of them end, and the thing of it is people do grow and change. And I'm gonna get on a little soapbox here, but this whole you know uh, image or philosophy we have of marriage, not just in this country, but literally in places around the world, is so fucking outdated. It ain't even funny. It's like, we're gonna get married and me and you against the world, and you are my wife and I'm your husband, like we own each other. It ain't like that. It's like, anyways, I'm getting off
Oh
topic.
boy, that sounds a bit cynical. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I got.
No
We're
fairy
gonna
tales for you? No, okay.
yeah. Well, you know what, Dean? I've been thinking about future episodes of the show, and we're going to do one where the topic's going to be relationships. And that one, I'm sure we're going to get a lot of participation. I have a feeling. And then we're going to do one all about resentments. Man, because resentments is like drinking poison and expecting it to kill the other person, as they say. You got to have peace in your life. So, anyway,
Wow.
to get back to where I was going with it, I do want to do a shout out, and this is to an old friend of mine. And if I ever did have what we call love at first sight, it was with this person. And, without getting too descriptive or into too much information, we never even really had a intimate relationship. We had a very close friendship for a very short period of time. But man, sometimes you'll be sitting around just bullshit with people and the topic will come up, man. Do you believe in love at first sight? Has that ever happened to you like a lightning bolt? Well, if it ever happened to me, it happened that time. And this is like fucking, God, between 20 and 25 years ago. Anyway, shout out to my friend Kim. Kim D celebrated 10 years clean this past week, and got a nice DM from her, 10 years clean. So I just wanted to send a shout out to Kim.
Way to go,
Congratulations
Kim. Yeah.
on 10 years clean. Yeah, and she had been clean for a long time, and like myself, has been open about it on social media that she had a relapse and is 10 years clean again. And man, that just makes me so happy and is such an inspiration to me and many others, I'm quite sure, as well. Okay, another shout out I want to send a shout out to them boys, Ben and Cliff, who I met in San Francisco this past week at the Mallrat concert. And we're going to show a video of them later, but I promised them I'd do a shout out to them on the show. Okay, so definitely want to send a shout out to them guys. But now, y'all, we're going to talk a little bit about this Mallrat show that I went to in San Francisco last week. Okay, but before we do, Dean, let's put that phone number back up on the screen again and encourage anybody who may be watching or listening to call in. We'd love to talk to you live on the show today. And yeah, I got a little bit of a flow put together for the show, but we can interject anytime to take a call. And we would love to hear from you today. And like I said, I could use some words of encouragement myself. Been fucking romancing, getting loaded, like I don't know what I'm going through, y'all. In a good mood right now, obviously doing the show. Always have fun when we do the show. It makes me feel good. But hey, I'm living my life all day, every day like anybody else, man. So, just, I don't know, going through some kind of shifting from summer into fall and all that right now. And I hear the phone ringing, Dina. Sure.
And I'm throwing it into the fire here. Here you go.
All right.
Hey, what up?
Hey, who's on the line?
Long time listener, first time caller. It's your boy G.
Oh, G Money on the line from Miami, Florida. We got a caller from Miami. That's my boy G. What's happening, G? Thanks for calling in. How are you? What are you up to today?
We're just listening to the podcast and wanted to call, say hi, and enjoying the episode so far. That was,
Right.
Pretty tragic, those news stories.
Yeah, isn't that horrible, man? A 1-year-old at a daycare gets a hold of some opiates and ODs and dies. Isn't that insane, G?
Yeah, it's sad. I mean,
Well,
it just goes to show how crazy it's gotten.
all right, so since your son is on the line, Glenn, senior Glenn, you would say, like, when your child was on the floor, did he put things in his mouth?
Yeah.
You know, did he find what looked like an M&M and kind of put it in his mouth? I'm not saying that, I mean, running a any kind of drug business around a daycare, man, those guys should be put to death.
I'm telling you, I was actually thinking to myself, Dean, it's interesting. And G, you'll remember this. I remember going to your daycare, Glenn, and I was upset with them that they weren't giving you a snack when you wanted it. Is that what it was at New Dimension?
I
Something
think it
like
was
that. You
like
wanted
fruit
a
punch
drink or a
because I was
snack.
thirsty.
Yeah.
Like
They
fruit
had these
punch or
kids
something.
out playing outside in the heat, Dean, and Glenn was thirsty and they wouldn't give him something to fucking drink. And he's telling me, like, Dad, I'm dying of thirst here. They won't give me anything. And what were you, like, maybe 8 years old, Glenn? Not even that.
Yeah, something like that. Probably like 5, actually. 4
Yeah,
or
5,
5.
6. Yeah. And now instead of worrying about whether they're going to give your kid a drink or a snack when they want it, you got to worry about them coming across some fucking opiate shit that could kill them. It's just so sad. Well, hey, switching topics since we got you on the line, G. I know you're one of my biggest cheerleaders, bro, and I appreciate you calling in. And I don't want to concern you that, I'm going through the mindset I'm going through. I ain't getting loaded today, kiddo. You saw that shit up close and personal, as we've talked about on the show before. Um, it's just, I don't know, man. Sometimes you get into these mindsets of like, fuck, you start romancing, getting loaded and missing the good times because there were good times until they weren't good anymore and they got miserable. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to say to you, kiddo, that I can't thank you enough again for all your encouragement and coaching and going to the gym because that does help me get out of my head sometimes, man. Going to the gym ain't just about physical health, it's about mental health too. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I was going to ask, are you still getting in there regularly?
Oh, yeah. Not as much as I was when I was on that mission to lose all that weight. I was there every single day. And it just seems like there's been so much going on lately that I've had, like days in between where I'll go, I usually never go more than a couple days without hitting the gym. And I've
Yeah.
kind of hit a weight I'm comfortable with now. Really, really trying to monitor any kind of sugar intake, that whole kind of thing. But man, I just love going to the gym. But see, with me, it's like when I go to the gym, it ain't just for an hour. I'm there for 2, 3, 4 hours. It's a whole event. Uh, let me ask you this, G. When you go, how long is your average stay at the gym?
I mean, right now, because I'm working full time, so many hours that I'm trying to just get in and out of there. But if I
Yeah.
could, like on the weekends, I like to go in there, take my time, like you, kind of rest between sets when I'm lifting weights, and I'm in there for like over an hour and a half, sometimes close to 2 hours when I like include cardio. But
Yeah.
lately it's been an hour. But I'm like you, I like to go in there, just do a set, take my time, listen to a song, do another set, and then when you do a few different exercises, yeah, like the time just flies, and you're like, damn, I've been in here almost 2 hours already. So
Yeah. Well, and you know what else for me, Glenn, and I know you know this, and this case, I think for most people, is I put them earbuds in, man, and it's like I'm in my own little world, my own zone, listening to music, man, and I let certain playlists ride, and then in between reps, I'll start fucking like thinking about, okay, what kind of cool reel can I make to promote the podcast, and that's time consuming, and so I'll be sitting there on a machine in between reps working on that. So, yeah, I just thought I'd bring it up, Glenn, because, as we talked about on the show, one of the topics we like discussing is exercise and fitness because it's truly been a lifesaver, a game changer for me. And, it's so bizarre, y'all, for the rest of y'all watching and listening, when your own son literally helps coach you through kicking an addiction and coaching you back to life. And so, Glenn, forever grateful, kiddo, and look forward to
yeah,
hopefully you and my beautiful daughter-in-law, Juana, coming out to visit us here in Sacramento soon.
yeah, we'll be there soon. I was gonna say though, before I get off the call, sometimes when you're going to the gym for so many months and years, because you've been going like years now,
Yeah.
sometimes you gotta switch it up. I was thinking that you reach that goal weight, and sometimes it's like once you don't have like a goal you're shooting for, kind of like you're
Yeah.
spinning your wheels. I was thinking like you had mentioned doing that kickboxing class, maybe trying something
Yes.
like that, doing the kickboxing class, and you might kind of spark that flame back in you to like kind of get back into it more, and help
Wow.
with your mind.
I really appreciate the suggestion, G, because you know what? It's interesting you brought that up because I was thinking that to myself last night. Like, wow, man, why am I in this funk, And I started thinking to myself, well, you know what? It's almost like I don't have a goal right now. I had all these goals that I've accomplished, I wanted to get clean. I've been clean for 2.5 years. I wanted to move to Cali. I moved to Cali. I've been here almost a year. I wanted to get my weight down from 189 to 125, and I did it. I fucking did it. I can't believe it. I
You got
wanted to get
great.
this podcast
Oh,
started. We've done it, and it's like I
yeah,
don't have this goal that I'm shooting for. I kind of feel like I'm in this monotonous routine. And so I
yeah,
like the idea of the kickboxing because I did put that out there, but I haven't started it. So great idea.
yeah. Not even working out too. You know how me and you we were never big into fishing, but I'm starting to think maybe like because I'm getting stressed out with my job, I was like, something to relax me, maybe picking up trying fishing again, just because when you think about it, like you're out there and you kind of your mind's at ease and you can relax a little bit, let the anxiety go away because it's just you just kind of out there, trying to catch a fish. So I don't know, you should maybe try that. That would be like a little distraction from the regular grind.
Yeah,
Something
you know
something different.
what? There's people who swear by it, What's that old saying? A bad day fishing is better than a good day working any day of the week. So, well, gee, thank you so much, man, for the rest of y'all watching and listening. I see we got quite a few viewers still, man. God, I'm so blessed, of all the callers, I got family members who are my biggest cheerleaders, and I appreciate and love y'all more than I could possibly say. So thank you, G, for calling in. I know you got an early start tomorrow, too, being out there on the East Coast. My boy's a working man, and stay safe out there on the job, kiddo. And thank you again for calling in. Hope you can stay tuned for the rest of the show and see this Mallrat concert I went to. Man, I'm gonna show some
Yeah,
footage. It was a blast.
yeah, that looked fun. I'm gonna join in though on another episode soon, and then when I'm in Cali visiting you, we'll do a live episode
Yeah,
together.
we'll
That'll be
have you
nice.
live right here in the
Yeah.
studio. You got it, man. Yeah, we need to do another episode all about exercise and fitness. I really appreciate that, kiddo. So, okay, well, tell Awana I said hi, and we'll talk soon. All right.
All right, love you. Have a good
Love you too.
rest of the episode.
Thank you. Peace. How about that, Dean? Oh my God, I'm so blessed, man. See, this is exactly what I think I needed. I'm glad I put that out there the way I did. I was talking, like I said, to Shebang about it yesterday. I said, man, I don't know if I want to put this out there on the show, what I've been going through and thinking about getting loaded and shit. And he was like, gee, just put it out there. He goes, I think people would appreciate you being honest about it more than trying to put on some fake mask like everything's all bright and cheery, and just be honest about where you're at. And so, Shebang, if you might catch this, bro, appreciate the suggestion and input.
Wasn't it Shebang that we were talking one time where he said something about not just during the noisy times, but the quiet times?
Yeah,
that you have to kind of learn to live. I'm butchering what I'm pretty sure
No,
he said something like this, and it was more, when you're out in the gym and your dopamine is going crazy and your heart rate's up and everything like that. Well, you said you haven't been going there as much as you have lately, but
true.
So now you're experiencing the quiet times, and the quiet times are like, I was even looking back at the warning signs of relapse. Sudden changes in behavior. Okay, so that is a change in behavior.
Yeah.
And your life can't always be on the edge. So you got to know how to deal with these feelings during the quiet times. You got to learn to be with yourself. You said earlier that maybe you haven't done the yoga. I'm like, well, maybe that can kind of be something that you get back to where you don't have to be heart rate's up 1,000 points. You just get yourself back into some routine.
Yes. Well, Dean, I appreciate those are all great suggestions because, I was thinking that to myself even too, and I totally remember what you're talking about with Shebang. Like I talk a lot on the show about how music has been such a great outlet for me, literally helped save my life. I'll also say, and I have this passion for it that I've had my whole life. I've been, I was telling Shebang this too. I need to get more into doing the music production and singing and auto tune that I do here in this studio because I've kind of swayed away from it a little bit. It's like I've swayed away from that. I've swayed away from the yoga. I'm not going to the gym as often. I'm doing other things, and all of a sudden this funk thinking gets back in, and it fucks with my peace. But where I was going with that is I was thinking about what you just said. It's really all about being okay with myself, and sometimes I think the music is even like a distraction, I think it's a healthy distraction, but then sometimes I think, holy shit, man, I got the music on all day, every day at the gym, every other fucking thing. Once I turn that off, it's like then I got to sit alone with my own thoughts, and that's not a comfortable place to be sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, thanks for putting the number back up on the screen. Thanks again, G, for calling in. Anyone else who may be watching, listening, even if you just got bored on the podcast today, there's the phone number. You can call and we'll put you on the show live right now. We would love to hear from anybody. Tell us where you're at. maybe you have some words of encouragement for me, to continue living clean and trying to have peace in my life. Or maybe you're going through some stuff. Maybe you're having some challenges in your life right now with trying to get clean or stay clean. And maybe we might have some good input for you as well. So let's go back to the slides, Dean. And
Okay.
like I said, y'all, I do have a show that we put together to talk about. We touched on the opioid crisis in the news. And I also want to talk about this girl, Mallrat, who I went to see in San Francisco last week at a concert hall called Bimbo's 365. There I am outside of the venue. I had a picture taken, y'all. And here's just a little spotlight on Mallrat that I pulled from Rolling Stone magazine. She has this release out right now called Butterfly Blue that is just so beautiful, y'all. Oh my God, it's such a great song. And the whole compilation is just amazing. Now, I was turned on to Mallrat's music by that girl, Benny, who y'all have heard me talk about on this show many, many times. I'm so blessed I've been able to meet Benny twice and now Mallrat once, as you're going to see. So, just thought I'd show this real quick. Highly encourage you to go and check out her Butterfly Blue and all her other stuff in her catalog. She's been around for a long time. And there I am with her. This was after the show. I did get to meet her. Oh my God, it was so cool, y'all. And as you saw, if you watched the beginning of the show, she even gave us a shout out for the podcast. She was so nice to me after the show. She hung out. There were probably about, I don't know, maybe 8 of us outside the door there waiting for her to come out. And she must have spent, God, she had to have hung out for at least a half hour, just accommodated all of us with photos, did the video for me, just talking with us, didn't rush through it. And I got a shit ton of pictures people took. These two are my favorite. I especially love that one on the left with her just giving me the look and smiling. It was so, so cool to meet her, y'all. And I just thought I'd talk about this real quick. This is the kind of creative artist she is, y'all. The girl's just shy of 25. She's going to be 25 in just like a week or so. I looked it all up on Wikipedia. Not that I was stalking you, girl, if you see this, because she did say she was going to watch our podcast. When she did the shout out, I told her just a little bit about it. And they actually drove from San Fran to Seattle. And then we're driving from Seattle into British Columbia for the shows they had there. And she goes, "Oh, I'll have to watch your podcast. It'll give me something to do to kill some time while we're on the road," or something like that. I'm paraphrasing how she said it. So she very well may see this eventually. But y'all, if she's not, going to catch us live. But I wanted to show this because it just goes to show how creative she is. She took the sounds of a soccer ball, and this famous soccer player recorded it and incorporated into this song and track she did with this guy Kwame, who's a music producer. And I just can't encourage y'all enough to go online and check it out. So I just couldn't resist showing that. And then this next photo, y'all, here I am with Benny on the left. That's out at St. Andrews Hall in Detroit. And then Mallrat there on the right in San Fran. And in case you didn't know, Benny is from New Zealand. Mallrat is from Australia. So I call them the two girls from down under. And they wrote this song. Yeah, Dean, get your mind out of the gutter.
No, down under that New Zealand is
Yeah.
okay, never mind.
So anyway, yeah, they're both so cool and so nice to me. And they wrote this song together called "Do It Again" that became the theme song for the Women's World Cup soccer tournament, the FIFA tournament. And it's like, you guys know how huge soccer is around the world, right? And these girls are so famous and they performed it there, and I got to meet both of them. Fucking blows my mind. They know who I am, and it was so nice of them to spend time with me. I've actually met Many a couple times. Met her down in Hollywood. I don't know, about 6-9 months ago. She did a show down at the Roxy I went to, and then that's the photo when I met her in Detroit. And then, of course, Mallrat last week. So just thought that I'd show that, y'all. And then I'm going to show some footage now There's a close up of Mallrat that I took in the concert, and I literally was right at the stage, y'all, where I was leaning on the stage. This venue was the coolest fucking venue, and you're going to see in a minute what I'm talking about because I'm going to show some footage. But before I get into that, I want to show a couple of vids of some stuff we did outside. Now, I know we showed this at the beginning of the show, but I'm going to go ahead and show it again. That girl Mallrat, the famous, internationally famous Mallrat, giving us a shout out for the Dare Me podcast. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Mallrat. I'm here with Glenn from the Dare Me podcast, and we're hanging out. It's great.
I love it. Mallrat, you rock. All right. There we are. And we were hanging out, y'all. Like I said, she didn't rush through it with any of us out there. She literally spent time talking with us. I told her about this video I saw on YouTube, an interview she did with another podcaster talking about writer's block and things she, has done to try to get through it. And thanked her for doing that, that it really helped me when I have writer's block. And she thanked me for bringing that up to her. And it was just like this cool, just totally cool conversation we had. Just two people vibing for a few minutes, I was a little starstruck, but I was trying to keep it at bay, grown ass man fucking fangirling over this, young 25, 24-year-old girl. But she's so talented, y'all, just so talented. And so, anyway, one thing that was so cool, y'all, is I got there early because I didn't know what traffic was like going to be like going from Sac all the way to San Fran, and I didn't want to be late for the show, and I also wanted to get there early in case she came out to vibe with people before the show. She actually did afterwards, but while I was there, I'm so freaking glad I got there early because they had the loading doors open where the bands and groups load their equipment in. And I met this cool ass bouncer, this guy, James, and me and him were talking. And James, he said he was going to watch the podcast too. Shout out, James. I told him we were going to have him on, and I got to hear Mallrat warming up. We heard like a half dozen songs. So check this video out. It'll speak for itself. Oh, yeah, she's warming up too. This is the jam. I'm so glad she's going to do this tonight. Well, this is the jam right here. This is my man, James. James, you don't mind saying hi on the podcast, do you?
Welcome to Bimbo.
Yeah, my man. We out here, y'all. We out here. Get ready to check out Mallrat. My man, James, being so cool to me. This is the jam right here, bro. James says he's still got a CD player.
And a cassette player.
What's up, Steve? My man, Steve. We out here, y'all. We out here. All right, y'all. So you could tell I was definitely having a good time. Here I am talking about going through this funk, living this great life, and yet I can still romance going and getting loaded sometimes. Like, what the fuck, Just go fuck everything up in my life and make a mess, when I'm living this great life. It just makes me think, like, what the fuck? Where does that thinking come from, But anyways, getting off topic there. You can tell, y'all, we were having a great time. And that tune, by the way, that's a tune called Teeth. The name of it is Teeth, like your teeth. And that's on the new release, Butterfly Blue. Go check it out, bro. That is a fucking jam. Oh, my God, I love that song. And she performed that, and it was so cool. So, yeah. James and that guy Steve you just saw there, they were so cool to me, y'all. I can talk to anybody, man. Park Place, Park Bench, and anywhere in between. And I just walked up and started. He was hanging out, man. I told him I was there to see the show. We started talking. They were such great guys. So shout out James and Steve. So let me take you on a little tour of Bimbos. Now, this is down at the other end when they had actually closed the loading door, and there were some of us waiting in line to get in. And this is the kind of pride that they take in this place because it's a cool venue. And then come to find out, James told me they filmed a scene like right one block from where I was standing for the famous Steve McQueen movie Bullet. So check it out. This will be self-explanatory too. Check it out. Now, how cool is that, y'all? Polishing it up. The address for Bimbo's 365 Club.
Yes. Yeah, that was a different.
Not the address, but the name. 365. So I just learned some cool trivia.
It's just that he has a crash with
Whoops.
somebody.
Oh, you all right? You all right?
He has a crash with somebody who has a surfboard on his
That
car.
this corner right here of Columbus and Taylor is from James. What was the name of that movie again? Bullet. Yeah, the movie Bullet. That's an old one, but has a famous chase scene in it. Old Steve McQueen movie. If you're looking for a good old classic to watch, go watch Bullet. But that's right where they filmed the chase scene for it, right there in San Francisco. That area of San Francisco, by the way, is really a cool area. Kind of reminded me of like Greenwich Village in New York. It just had that kind of vibe to it, you know. We've talked on this show before about some of the challenges going on in San Francisco and the whole Tenderloin thing and my weird experience down there. This part of San Francisco is closer to Fisherman's Wharf. There wasn't anything like that going on around there. I felt totally, completely safe vibing around that part of San Francisco. It had a really cool vibe. So anyway, just thought I'd show that video. And now we're going to take you inside of Bimbo's, y'all, because this place for like a concert venue, sometimes you think of these like seedy dive bar, stinking places inside, smelling stale beer, cigarette. Wasn't like that at all. This place was really classy, y'all. It's been there since 1931. And so let's watch this quick video. It'll be self-explanatory too. Check it out. All right, y'all. So, wow, this place, the Bimbo's 365 Club here in San Francisco, is so freaking cool. It has been here since 1931, and it is so classy inside. Can you imagine all the cool acts that have played here over the years? I was just telling one of the guys that works here, I went into the restroom and they were playing Frank Sinatra's Summer Wind over the PA. And I thought to myself, man, I wonder if Frank ever played here. I'm going to have to look into it. But you can see, man, they keep it classy here. I can just see back in the day, the old Rat Pack era, people sitting around drinking cocktails and Frank and Dean or whoever the hell. But tonight it's all about that girl Mallrat, and I'm gonna be standing right up front with these two girls, Aubrey and Ainsley. There they are right there. That I'll be standing right next to. Anyway, that's it. Peace. What a cool venue, y'all. And hey, shout out Aubrey and Ainsley, the two girls I mentioned right at the end of that video. They were so nice to me, y'all. And check it out. They flew all the way from Denver to be at that show. And they were actually outside in line waiting. They were in that previous video too. And so we talked and chatted for a while. And they hung out actually after the show and got some cool pics and videos with Mallrat, which, by the way, her name is Grace Mallrat, obviously her stage name. And she was just so nice to us, y'all. Can't say enough. But anyway, yeah, shout out to the two girls from Denver. So anyway, y'all, I literally did stand right at that stage, elbows on the stage, and I got a shit ton of video of the concert. But I didn't want to, bog this show down showing all kinds of Mallrat video, but I had to show at least one. because I want y'all to see how cool she was with her fans. She literally, and she did this with me and this girl next to me, by the way, at the beginning of the show, knelt down right in front of us singing. But I didn't film that because I was just like enamored. But I did get a video of her doing it with this other girl. This is a cool video. Check this out. Wow, man, I feel like I'm right back in the show. It was just so cool, man. I'm like fangirling and standing left and right over Mallrat. But I was telling the girls Ainsley and her friend, that I met that I mentioned there that I might I might get some girls throwing me under the bus for saying this, but I would say it anyways. It's like, hey, I like Taylor Swift as much as the next person. She's got good music. She's such a talented person, America's sweetheart, the world's sweetheart. I'll also say I ain't paying no fucking $2,000 to go see Taylor Swift in some madhouse stadium with 60 to 80,000 people waiting in line and all that bullshit. I have truly become spoiled. I love every single song Mallrat does. Every song Benny does. There's not one song I don't like by either one of them. And I paid like not even $50 to see each of them. I think I paid a little more for Benny at the Roxy, but the point is, less than $50, go in this venue that's totally cool, just such a great vibe. I'm standing at the stage with my elbows on the stage, get to meet one of my music idols, sends a shout out to our podcast. It's like, yeah, all you Taylor fans, man, you go deal with all that madness. Go right ahead. I don't know, man. I've just become spoiled. It's like, Dean, you remember we even talked about the Coachella Festival. I thought about going for a brief moment, and it's like, I'm just like, I'm spoiled going to these smaller venue shows. It's like, I don't want to wait in line,
The last big concert I saw was probably 15 years ago, and it was Jimmy Buffett in Tampa.
Oh, yeah.
And I paid $130, I think, for the ticket, which today would be cheap to see any real artist. And I was pissed. I was like, $100 for a ticket, or and all you hear is the fans, really. I mean, especially you're back in the nosebleed and the home run section, way on the outside. But I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, I must confess, though, Dean, that I will be going, if they come back around again, to see the Rolling Stones again. And they just released that single, Angry, from their new album that's coming out in October called Hackney Diamonds. And I saw a quick interview with Keith Richards where they asked him, are they going to tour for the album? And I'm paraphrasing, but he alluded to, as long as they stay healthy, yeah, they're going to go tour. And I will go see them again. They're my favorite artists of all time in music, whatever. I'm a Stone snob. Call me whatever you want. Love the Stones, seen them a dozen times. And I paid more to go see the Rolling Stones than any other group I've ever, and I've been to more concerts than I could possibly tell you since I was a kid, a teenager, and I paid $276 to see the Stones, the most I've ever paid for a concert ticket, and the seat wasn't that fucking good. It was at Ford Field in Detroit, and I sat way back in the corner. Had a
Yeah.
good time, but the point I'm making, bro, is I'm just become spoiled seeing these artists that I love up close and personal, and then to think about going to, because I'd like to see Taylor Swift. Fuck this tour she's on, man. This is like an event. It's a world event. It's like going to see the Stones. You're gonna see them in some big stadium. You ain't going there for the acoustics. Although it sounds okay. You're going there because it's an event, and I'd love to
Yeah.
go vibe with everybody to go see Tay Tay. But I just can't justify dropping a couple grand or even a grand. I don't think you can get a ticket for less than a grand for Taylor Swift when I'm going to see girls like Mallrat, who I love just as much, if not more, literally more, in an intimate venue at a
Uh,
reasonable price.
yeah. FYI, Bimbo's 365 Club. Some of their big um, concerts. Coldplay played
Yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Robin
yeah.
Williams, I guess,
Yeah. Oh,
he was
yeah.
on stage there.
Yeah.
Adele.
A lot of
Those are the
history. Yeah.
Well, that's not a huge amount of history. You mentioned Frank
But
Sinatra.
some.
I couldn't
Yeah.
find him in their
Yeah,
history,
I'd be curious,
so
but I could just totally feel that vibe being there. I'm sure you could tell from the footage. It just had that whole, almost like that Rat Pack Jazz Club kind of vibe
Oh
to it,
well, if you wanna see that, hang on a
back in the
second. I
day.
can I can show you. Let me present something here.
Okay. But
Share
I
screen.
would recommend
Bimbos.
anybody who has an opportunity to go to a show at the club there, by all means go. Oh, look at that. Yeah, there's
These
some
are old
old stuff.
vintage newspaper ads, I guess, from Bimbos.
Wow.
So
Yeah, this is like old school, man. Back in
this
like
is
even the
very
big
old
band
school
era.
here. Yep.
Yeah. Wow,
So
man. It's just, I've talked about it on this show before, not to get too mystical and flowered up, y'all, but I'm a big believer in vibes and energy and the universe, whatever the fuck that means to you. And it's almost, when I go into a place that's got such a long, rich history like that, man, I just try to absorb the vibes and the energy there. And Dean, I really appreciate you bringing up these old ads, man, about that place, because it is a cool club. It really is. And you could tell that the people that work there and the owners take pride in it, man. They had a guy out there with Brasso cleaning up the copper address that's in the sidewalk out front, man. It was just a really, really cool club. And then I was talking to that guy James outside, and he was saying, "Oh God, Glenn, there's so many hidden jewels like this in San Francisco." He goes, "There's so many cool clubs around that city that people, unless if you don't know, you don't know, kind of thing." But yeah, look at the legend Robin Williams did a show there. The Flaming Lips, wow. Very cool. Well, all right, Dean, I appreciate you bringing that up, bro. So now I want to shift gears. So, yeah, shout out Mallrat. Thank you for being so nice to me. I want to do a shout out as well to this girl who warmed up for her. And her name is Lila Drew. Let's bring the photos back up, Dean, because I told her we'd do a shout out. And I got a couple pics. There's me outside of Bimbo's, by the way. Just had to throw that in there as well, next to the cool sign. So there I am with Lila Drew. Oh my God, y'all. She is such a talented artist, and she was so cool to me. In fact, I kind of felt bad because I showed that video where I was standing outside the loading door, and they had the door open because they were waiting for Lila Drew and her crew to show up and move their stuff in. And here she literally is helping her crew move their equipment in, and I kind of stepped out of the way, and I didn't even realize it was her. And so I was like, "Oh, excuse me," and I told her that after the show. I go, "Oh my God, I saw you walking in. I didn't know it was you." And I had to confess to her, and I'll confess to y'all as well. I had no idea who Lila Drew was before the show. I'm a huge fan now, and she was so nice to me, y'all. And I pulled this off Rolling Stone. She truly is an indie artist on the rise. And man, it goes to show birds of a feather. she talks in here in this article a little bit. There obviously I'm not showing the whole article. How she was influenced by Motown music, just like I was growing up in Detroit, and that one of her idols was Sister Aretha Franklin, and that her parents were huge influences on her. Not that they were musicians, but always playing music around the house, just like my parents. They weren't musicians, but man, there was always fucking music on around the house. So anyway, she was born in London, raised in LA. She's just a kid, y'all. She's like 20 years old, 19, 20 years old, but so talented. And, it goes to show, man, the whole starving artist thing, because she's so talented, but yet she's standing at her merch table peddling t-shirts just like the rest of the artists do when they're starting off. And so, whoops, back up here. I wanted to play this video. Got her to do a shout out for the podcast, so we're going to show that in a second. But first, I wanted to show y'all a video of Lila Drew performing, just so you get a feel for how talented she is. And then I highly encourage you, go to YouTube or whatever your favorite platform and check out her music. So just a short clip here of Lila Drew. Check it out. So, yeah, just a little sample of that girl, Lila Drew, y'all. And, if you listen closely, you can tell there that you're definitely using some auto tune, but I will tell you, she don't even need it, y'all. She's got the pipes. We talked about this on the show last week a little bit about how some people are so down on auto tune, like, well, yeah, there used to be talent until the fucking auto tune came. A lot of artists embrace auto tune intentionally for the sound effects of it and all. I'm using auto tune on the stuff I do, and Lila don't need it, but she incorporates it into her music, and it was so fucking cool meeting her, y'all. And when I did meet with her, we talked for a little while, and I told her about the podcast after if she'd do a shout out, and she did. So check it out.
Hey, I'm Lila Drew. I'm here with Glenn, and I want to give a big shout out to everyone listening to the Dare Me podcast.
All right, Lila Drew, you rock. Thank you. All right. There you go, everybody. So, yeah, we're slowly but surely compiling some shout outs for the podcast, Dean. We got Billy Bob Thornton, we got Mallrat, we got Lila Drew, we got Ragnar Rosenkrantz, Claire Rosenkrantz' dad, So, man, they're coming together. So anyway, hey, Dean, let's just do it one more time. I mean, we had, a few callers on the front end of the show, but sometimes people jump in a little later in the show. Let's put that phone number up again. If you joined us late and you might like to call in and talk to us on the Dare Me podcast today, there's the telephone number to call, 407-924-3946. We'd love to talk to you. I was kind of soliciting some words of encouragement this week because, hey, if you know my story, I'm living clean and sober, been that way for about 2.5 years now. But I don't know, man, just been struggling lately, going through some kind of transition here, like I'm shifting. I don't know if it's something to do. We've talked about it already on this show with the seasonal change, going from summer to fall or whatever the hell. Just been in a funk and was literally like romancing going out and getting loaded, going to, just going to the bar and, I'll just go to the bar and have a few, like that ever worked for me, I don't want to go back down that road again, y'all. And so had some callers earlier from some family members, helping to continue cheering me on. Appreciate y'all doing that. And just thought we'd put the phone number up there again. If anybody wants to call in with some words of encouragement, or maybe we have a viewer or listener who's going through it too. Maybe you're trying to get clean, trying to kick, or living clean and sober, but going through a little bit of a funk too. Give us a call. We'll talk to you right now if you want to. If not, it's all good. We'll just keep going with the show. So I did say earlier we were going to do another shout out, and this is a video. I promise these guys that if they couldn't tune in live, at least they'd be on the recorded version of the show. I met such cool people at that concert, y'all, and there were these guys there, Ben and Cliff. And Cliff is a huge Mallrat fan. Dude stood behind me and literally sang every single word to every single song. It was awesome. I know pretty much every word to all the songs, but I was just so starstruck. I was telling Grace after the show, Mallrat, that man, I was so starstruck I was forgetting the words to her song. She kind of chuckled about that. But anyway, met these really cool guys, Ben and Cliff, and they were just so cool to me. Even bought me an NA beer. They had the Heine Zeros there, which I like. I've talked about on this show. For some of us, them NA beers are really a good thing. Especially when you've been romancing drinking lately, like I have. It's good to have a non-alcohol beer available in case you might want one. And so anyway, I was bullshitting with these guys, and he offered to buy me one. I said, okay. So anyway, shout out to Cliff and Ben. Here they are. All right, y'all, we out here at Let's go. Bimbo. That's my boy. Oh, yeah. Look at this, man. We are literally right at the front of the stage waiting for that girl, Mallrat. Yeah. So, Ben, you say you just started getting into Mallrat about 6 months ago,
I'm a newbie. Right? I'm new to the scene, but I'm a huge fan already.
Yeah, right
this
on.
guy's an OG.
There you go. So there you go, everyone. Shout out again to Cliff and Ben, a couple of cool friends I met at the Mallrat concert. So that kind of wraps up that whole little trip to San Francisco, y'all. Met that cool girl, Lila Drew. Thank you so much, Lila, for the shout out for our podcast. Thank you, Grace, Mallrat. Had such a wonderful time and hope to see y'all perform again. So, moving on, y'all, here's another show, just real quick. Going to touch on this briefly that I went to last night. And Dean, you and I were talking about this one before the program today. Always been a big fan of this group, Dire Straits. Now, the catch is that Mark Knopfler, who was the lead singer, guitar player, main creative force for Dire Straits, was not with them. He's like off doing his own thing. And, my understanding is there's no hard feelings between the guys in this group and Mark. He's just not, out touring as part of Dire Straits. He's out doing his Mark Knopfler thing. But this particular group has three. You getting a call, Dean? We'll take a call if you got one coming in.
No, that was just my phone chiming.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard the phone ringing. But anyway, this group had a few of, the Dire Straits members. Alan Clark on keyboards, Mel Collins on saxophone, and he played some flute. It was just unbelievable. Now, I'm not going to bore y'all with playing some videos from the concert. I did take some, but I've been riding with Dire Straits all the way back to the Sultans of Swing thing back in the late 70s, 78, 79 that came out. And of course, everybody knows Money for Nothing. I want my MTV and all that. If you really follow me closely on social media, you also know that I've covered a couple of Dire Straits songs. They're out there on my social media. If you look through my files, you'll find them. I did Waterline, Six Blade Knife, The Gallery. They're kind of suited for my voice. So I just loved them, y'all. And I went to see them at this historic theater here in Sacramento called the Crest Theater. And this place is so cool, y'all. I had never been there before. Looked it up on Wiki. It's been around since 1912. 12. They used to have vaudeville shows in this place. Then they kind of remodeled it in 1949 when it became known as the Crest. It had a different name before that, but I couldn't resist doing just a quick video. Let's check it out. All right, y'all, here we are at the beautiful Crest Theater, downtown Sac, the Dire Straits Legacy Show. No Mark Knopfler, but there's a few original members of the Dire Straits band, and we're going to have some fun jamming tonight. This is a beautiful theater, as you can tell. It's very nice, and I got a seat right here in row J. There's my seat right there. 111. So, yeah, we'll see. Should be good. So, yeah, that's where I was last night. Yeah.
I wanted to hear some music, and I heard you.
Oh,
what the hell?
I have. Maybe I'll pull a clip and play it for you on the show next week, Dean, because I did get a couple of clips, and I do have a clip about a minute long of the opening. To the Money for Nothing.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, y'all, we're coming near the end of the show. I was telling Dean there's another group playing tonight at the Crest, an old artist. Some of y'all may remember his name's Al Stewart. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because he did some pretty famous songs. One was called Year of the Cat. The other was Time Passages, On the Border. Those are probably his three most famous songs. And anyway, he's playing there tonight. And I was telling Dean, I was hoping I might get done with the podcast in time to ride on down there. It's about 20 minutes from me, man. I'll be a little late if I go, but he's on tour, so maybe I'll catch him at another spot. He still plays around, but I always love those songs. It's kind of weird going to see a group. Like I said, I love Mallrat or Benny. Every single song I can sing to every word. Being honest with a guy like Al Stewart, I probably would like them 3 songs the rest of the show. I've literally gone to see people for one fucking song before, you know what I mean? But anyway, it's all good, y'all. So, hey, we're getting near the end of the show. Just wanted to do a couple memes. This is for all my friends in Detroit City and all the bandwagon folks that have jumped on board the Detroit Lions Kool-Aid train. If you know me, you know I am a huge Detroit fan, and furthermore, a huge Detroit Lions fan. Been my team since I was knee-high, a little kid. They've never been to the Super Bowl, but everybody's picking them to make it to the playoffs this year. God, I get so emotionally involved with pro sports and specifically Detroit Lions football. And they lost today in a heartbreaker. I put some things out on social media saying, man, if you just jumped on this, bandwagon, be careful. Because when the Lions lose, they don't just fucking lose, they break your heart. And that's what happened again today. They lost in OT, had a hell of a rally at the end, and then lost by a touchdown in OT against Seattle. But, hey, man, nobody expected them to go undefeated this season. They beat the Super Bowl champ Kansas City Chiefs last week, So, they're still working out some kinks, but I just thought we'd show that. We showed that last week. I couldn't resist showing it again. We always try to wrap the show up with a little bit of humor, y'all, and some funny memes. So, thought this kind of parlayed right from that. Drinking to be happy is like setting your house on fire to stay warm. And I thought that was a good reminder for me. Being that, like I talked about on this podcast today, that I've been romancing getting loaded again, like what the fuck? Where did that come from? That shit brought me to my knees and almost ruined my life. Actually, quite frankly, did ruin my life for a little while. Thank God it didn't kill me. And here I'm romancing that maybe it might be a good idea to go out and just have a few and take the edge off. Like, yeah, I was ever able to do that. For some of us, for some reason, once we start, it just ain't no stopping. We go till the wheels fall off. So, I thought this was a good one, not just to put out there on the podcast, but for me to remember as well. Drinking to be happy is like setting my goddamn house on fire to stay warm. Anyway, with all that said, y'all, about to wrap it up, and I thought this was a good, funny meme to end it on. Someone told me I have two faults: I don't listen, and some other shit they were rattling on about. I thought you might like that, Dean. So anyway, y'all, that brings us full circle. How about that, man? We're gonna wrap this show up in almost record time, less than an hour and a half. Are you proud of me, Dean?
Yeah.
Well, Dean and I have talked about it. We've had some great shows, y'all, where we've gone really deep in depth. I'll never forget, man. We had that boy Mike Woods on. We went for almost 3.5 hours. And what a fantastic show it was. It was so in depth, fascinating, interesting. I'll also say, I get it, man. Keeping somebody's attention for 3.5 hours in this day and age is no easy task. So, if you're one of those folks that does like to ride with our podcast, sometimes we do go pretty long, y'all. And I just recommend, hey, take it in bits and pieces. You can always go back and watch the recorded version. I do that with podcasts sometime myself. I'm in the car. I might listen to one for 15, 20 minutes on the way to wherever I'm going, and then listen to the rest on the way back or on a different day or a different evening or whatever. So, yeah, some of ours go real long, but we're trying to keep it at, about an hour and a half, and we hit that target today, a little less than an hour and a half. And I thought it was a pretty jam-packed show. We had some great video footage from the concerts I went to, some good slides. We had a couple interesting stories of, the opioid crisis in the news. And of course, most importantly, in my opinion, our callers. Thank you so much for checking in, y'all. We appreciate that. And, we hope to generate more callers even moving forward and participation in the show. So it was nice to have some interaction on the show and not always be just about me. I like hearing from other people, although the calls we got were people trying to give me encouragement to keep on keeping on the way I have. And I'll say the same to all of you who may come across this program in the recorded edition. And maybe you're going through struggles with substance abuse disorder, with addiction. Maybe you're living clean and sober like I am now over 2.5 years, but still struggling with maintaining your peace sometimes, still romancing, getting loaded sometimes, whether it's drinking, smoking weed, taking pills, whatever the fuck, maybe all of them. You know, Somebody told me, Glenn, it's normal for an addict to think about using. And somebody else reminded me, you know what? I'd rather be in a 12-step meeting thinking about using than being in the dope house thinking about being at a meeting. Think about that for a second, because been there, done that. And man, there's an old saying: once you got NA or AA or whatever 12-step program you want to pick, once you got that in you, going out and getting loaded ain't never the same, because then you know better. You know what I mean? If you're a real one, that is. If you truly are a person that suffers or struggles with substance abuse disorder, if you truly are an addict, you get it. You know what I'm talking about. So if that may be you, hang tough. If I can do it, you can do it. Like we always like to say at the end of this show, if you're going through hell, keep fucking going. You'll come out the other side. So once again, thank you to everybody for tuning in and calling in even on the show today. We hope you enjoyed the content. Thank you one more time to Lila Drew and to Grace Mallrat for the shout outs for our podcast and for being so nice to me at their concerts. With all that said, Dean, you got anything you want to add before we wrap up today?
I'm thinking about going to see DSL. There's two venues one comes that are up in front of us. One's in Clearwater, so I might be going there this week.
Oh, that Dire Straits Legacy show I went to last night. Is that? Yeah. Oh, you'll love it, bro. I promise you. It was a good show. Them guys are all talented musicians. I mean,
I got
every
something to
single
do
one
then.
of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, bro. Well, hey, if you go, you definitely got to bring back, some photos and footage. We'll get them on the podcast, man.
There you go.
Keep me posted on that. Well, as always, Dean, thank you so much for all your hard work on helping put the show together. Again, I thought we got a good one in the can, and we will be back again next week, y'all. Like I teased a little bit, we got a couple episodes coming up. We're going to do one on relationships and another one on resentments, and how you try to get through those and maintain some peace. So lots more stuff coming up. We got other cool guests lined up. I can't wait to tell you all about. Just so much cool stuff coming up for this podcast, y'all. We are on a roll, that's for sure. So anyway, with all that said, have a great week, y'all. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you next time on the Dare Me podcast.